Hello, this is Nick Smith, and I am the lead developer for the social studies courses for the WCLN. I've written the social studies 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and several of the grade 12 courses. So right now I'm going to show you what the courses look like, explain how they're structured, and various ways of using them. We can start with the Social Studies 11 Explorations. All of the courses are structured in a similar way. I've got 4 units per course, and each unit is made to roughly cover the material you would cover in one term. So they're all about the same size. We think of courses as taking about 100 to 120 hours. So one of these units should take most students 25 or 30 hours. Students might want to look at the course outline before they begin. This tells them how the various items are weighted, kind of explains some of the basics of the course. So we can go ahead and look at one of these units. So here is one unit, and you can see that it has 4 sections. All of the courses I've developed have 4 sections. Each unit has a learning guide, and it has a project, the learning guide Dropbox, and a test. So the learning guide it's like the workbook that the students fill in as they go through the course content. So let's start by looking at one of these learning guides. Students get in here, they'll see the PDF icon, and the learning guides are all stored as PDFs. So usually students print them up and fill them in by hand. And they can hand them in as a hard copy, or they can scan them and upload them. That's done intentionally. We don't have them as Word documents, as they can easily be typed into and then shared among students. So that's the reason for that. Now, when we look at this, you'll see section 1, it always starts off, lesson A is always the terms for this section. And then this one has lesson B as the introduction, lesson C, leadership, etc. Now, if we go over to the course and we go into the content for this, we can see that now this green book icon is the content. And we go in here and there are the terms. And then we go on to introduction. It says lesson B. So now that we're in here, you'll see that there's text, there's a map, and some other pages within here will have videos. They can have links to other websites and so forth. But you'll notice here it says leadership, lesson C. So that corresponds to what's in the learning guide. So the students should always know exactly where they are at. Okay, so if we go back in here, you'll see that for each section there is an assignment and a quiz. Quizzes don't have a password. Students should be able to do them in about 5 minutes on their own. They're not made to be difficult. It's more of a check of their own comprehension. The assignments are where students need the most help. They should be able to fill the learning guide in on their own. The learning guides are marked for completion. The questions are not geared towards correct answers. They're more of like responding and just engaging with the material. Now, once the students have finished the learning guide for that section, then they can complete the assignment. Now, many students will want to skip the learning guide, skip the content, and go right to the assignment, as they see that as that's what counts. But once they get in there, they'll realize that they don't understand it if they haven't actually gone through and read the material and understood it. So the assignments are really predicated on an understanding of the material in the section. And this really needs to be reinforced with the students, that they can't just do the assignments. So here's the assignments, and this is where students often need the teacher's help. It doesn't have to be face-to-face. Teachers can help them through messaging, through email, through phone calls, etc. So once the student has completed this section, then they should understand the ideas to be able to do the assignment, but for the most part, they often need clarification. They usually need help with that. So then we get to the culminating activities, which are the same for every unit. There's the unit project. Now the unit project is made to, it's a bigger assignment, and it's made to pull together all of the big ideas in the unit. These projects, I've designed them so that I've designed them for the academic students. And so if you've got a student who's like a C+B student, for the most part, you can tell them that they can skip the projects. They're for academic students who are going on to post-secondary and so forth, students who are getting A's, and they're only worth 10% of the course. If you take a 0 on them, you're probably not going to get an A in the project, and most of those academic students will want to do these anyways. And then there is the test. Everyone has to do the test, but it is password protected. Now the tests are all composition, whereas the quizzes are multiple choice and terminology. The tests, someone needs to plug a password in. But you can look at this. I can show you what the questions look like. So here's one of the questions, for example. Here I'm going in as an editing teacher, but the students have a question, a multi-paragraph composition, which they're responding to. And I say, look at the photo and the quotation that accompanies it in order to formulate a response. So these tests are all going to be like that. Usually it's 2 response questions. Sometimes it might be 3. And the test usually takes students about an hour, sometimes a little bit more. And tests are required for someone to be able to get credit for the unit. And so I'll just go over that part again, that they have to fill in the learning guide for each unit. They have to write the test for each unit. Now, if you've got a student on an IEP, someone who's got some real learning difficulties, the absolute minimum that they can do to get credit for the course with us, 50%, is the learning guide and the test. And really, they should do the quizzes as well. Now, most students will at least do the assignments, but it's only the most academic students usually who are going to be required to do the projects. And you will find that all of the social studies courses are pretty much going to follow that same structure. And that's it.